So what I wanted to do was just kind of talk about your career growing up here in Deltona. I know you're born in Rio Piedra, but just to kind of talk about your career and how you've progressed since you were drafted, and really just going into representing Team USA at the Olympics. When are you guys going out to Japan?
We leave Wednesday, I believe. Wednesday morning. Yeah, we got practice games these next 3 days, and then we leave Wednesday. Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever the 21st is.
The 21st?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
All right, I think Wednesday, yeah. So, all right, you were born in Rio Piedra, but raised in Deltona. So how did growing up here in Deltona, how did that shape your baseball career?
Yeah, I mean, I think Deltona is a little town that has really good baseball talent. Not too many people know of the town, just because we live, across the bridge, as they would say. And obviously people in like Lake Mary and all that area over there and Windermere and all those, they get like more of the attention. But I feel like, back this way, we've always had talent. I just think we've had trouble, getting seen and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, the competition for sure has helped. Like I said, I'm born in Puerto Rico and we go back every year. I mean, still to this day, I spend off-season, most of the off-season in Puerto Rico. So yeah, it has helped.
And do you have any stories playing locally here at different parks, or when you were growing up here, where would you mostly play?
So I played at Dewey Booster for a couple years, and back then I used to play shortstop and pitch, and got to a point where I'd pitch and nobody really wanted to catch me. So my sister was the one that would catch me. And she ended up going to college as a catcher at FIU. So then after a while, I went and started playing travel ball, and then I think travel balls will help me take off playing AAU.
You mentioned your sister going to college. I know you were drafted by Kansas City back in 2011, but you were offered a full ride scholarship to University of Miami. Did you ever have second thoughts about playing college ball before going into the farm system?
A little bit, just because Miami since day one was the place I wanted to commit right away. I had back then used to be 5 visits, and I had University of Southern California. Miami was my second visit, LSU was my third visit, and then Texas Tech and Rice. And I went to USC. I loved it with my dad. It was probably one of the nicest complexes I've ever been to in a nice city. And I got back, and USC basically was telling me anything you want, we'll give it to you. And I was like, yeah, I can't right now until I get to my go to my visit at Miami, because Miami was my number one since day one. And sure enough, I went to Miami and I fell in love with it right away. Went on my visit with my parents, and then I committed right then and there. And people, get on me how'd you not go visit LSU and then Rice and then Texas Tech? And I'm like, Miami is where I wanted to be. And so yeah, once draft day came along, I ended up going a little later than I thought I was going to, but the draft is pretty hectic. So yeah, it was a tough decision, and I think back then I had a decision to make by August 15th, and it took me down to the last minute to accept signing and leaving Miami, and it was tough, but I wouldn't say I regret it at all. Yeah, it would have been nice to have that college experience, and obviously at the U, but I am where I am today, so
no regrets, huh?
Yeah.
So last year with COVID-19, I know minor league baseball was pretty much shut down. So it's been what, almost a year that you had off from playing.
Correct.
How are you preparing yourself, or how did you kind of keep yourself in playing shape, ready to play, especially with the Olympics coming up?
Well, a lot of people, it's been a global pandemic, obviously, as everybody knows, but I think for me and my family, it was a blessing. I had just built a house. My wife had just became pregnant, so I was able to stay home and be, by her side through the whole pregnancy and live in the house, that we built. So I think for me and my family, it was nice to, finally be home. I hadn't spent a summer at home since, before high school, because even in high school, I'd spend summers in Puerto Rico and down south. So it was nice. Like I said, I don't want to take away with, obviously the pandemic that's going on, but I think for me and my family, it was a blessing in disguise.
And was it difficult to kind of stay in playing shape?
Yeah, I was still on the contract with the Braves back then, and they were making sure that I was in shape. And I was doing some baseball activity, but my priority then was, being there for my wife and my 2-year-old daughter at the time. To try to be a dad, as much as I can. Being away from home as long as I am, just trying to spend time with them.
What was your reaction when you were informed, when you learned that you were selected to represent Team USA at the Olympics?
I was shocked. And I got a call early in the morning. I was eating breakfast with my kids and my wife. They were in town in Boston, and I got a call early in the morning, and I was kind of surprised because I got the call by Alex Cora. I'm like, Alex is calling me this early. Like I've known Alex for years, even before I signed professional baseball. And for Alex to call me, like we text all the time, but for him to call me, I thought it's kind of weird. So I called him back, and he was like, "Oh, would you be available to play for Team USA?" And I kind of just stood there, and didn't give him an answer at first. I was kind of in shock, and I was like, "Well, Alex, like I've already gone to 2 Olympic qualifiers with Puerto Rico. Like, how is that gonna work? Like, obviously, I'm Puerto Rican. I'm proud to be Puerto Rican. I've always represented Puerto Rico. Like, how's this gonna work?" Then he, we started talking about it. He's like, look, it's the Olympics. It's not everybody's able to do this. So I was like, yeah, let me talk to my family. Let me talk to my wife. And sure enough, as soon as I got off the phone with my wife, off the phone with Alex, I talked to my wife, and my wife was like, what are you thinking about? Like, not too many kids can say, my dad was in the Olympics. And as soon as my wife told me that, I'm like, you know what, you're right. But then my first thought was, thinking about my country and my island of Puerto Rico. I didn't want them to think I was turning my back on them. And, it took a little bit of sinking in to do, but, I still take them everywhere I go. I'm proud to be Puerto Rican, and, Puerto Rico's part of the U.S. So I think that's a good, I guess, problem to have, to be Puerto Rican, where you could take USA and Puerto Rico.
Yeah, no, it's nice to have that option, I bet,
Exactly, yeah.
So I know this is the first time that baseball is returning to the Olympics since I think it's 2008.
Right.
Do you or do any of your teammates, do you guys feel any pressure of really representing for the U.S., making sure that you guys represent really well, especially since this is the first time at that international level that baseball is going to be highlighted?
No, I wouldn't say pressure. Yesterday we had our first team meeting, and Mike Socha's our manager, and he's like, we don't want you guys to feel pressure. We're not asking you guys to go, ice skating or jump out of a plane. Like, you guys are here because you know what you're doing, and you guys know how to play the game of baseball. So he's like, just go out there and do what you know how to do. And I think to have that from our leader is pretty special. Just to give us that confidence and to play with no pressure. It'll be fun. It's a room full of really talented guys. Guys that have been in the bigs, guys that are future Hall of Famers, maybe. Some of our coaches have already won Olympic medals. We got Eddie Alvarez, who was an Olympic. I think he won silver as an ice skater. He's actually our second baseman. So to have him to rely on and kind of show us the way, it's pretty special. It's a pretty special team.
You mentioned so last year you spent a lot of time down here. So how often, or as far as how many ties do you still have here in Deltona?
I still have, my best friends still in Deltona. My parents, obviously, my in-laws. I'm still too close with a couple of my friends from high school, and I keep in touch with a couple of my teammates. But other than that, everybody else is in Puerto Rico. My grandparents, my aunts. But yeah, I got childhood friends who come over and we barbecue all the time. So.
And what advice would you share with young ball players, who might be watching this interview? Kids here in Deltona, people that that might be looking up and seeing one of our own playing at the Olympic level?
No, I mean, I've been asked that question before, and just keep working hard. I think my last interview, I was kind of sending a message towards the parents. We need parents to back up their kids. Support them. Whatever they want to do. If they want to play baseball, if they want to play basketball, if they want to skateboard, at a competition, then go for it. I think it comes more to families and giving them the resources if they can. Not everybody's as privileged, as others. But just being there as parents, and I say that now that I'm a parent, I look back and I look at my kids and I'm like, wow, like I'd really do anything for my kids, to let them have a future and let them do what they love. But to kids, just stay strong. Obviously, seems kind of cliche-ish, but stay in school. Like, school's gonna get you a long way. I don't think I'd be where I am today if I didn't have good grades in school and have that University of Miami commitment. So I think that at the moment it doesn't seem like much, but it really does. To have that to rely on. If I didn't sign that professional contract, then I'd be having a degree at University of Miami and who knows what. So just keep working hard. The sky's the limit. It really is. You can go as far as you want to, as long as you put your mind to it and put the work ethic in.
La última. Tiene un mensaje para todos los muchachos boricuas aquí en Deltona. Y si puede decirlo en español.
Sí, no, que sigan positivos. ¿Sabes? Lo mismo que dije en inglés. ¿Sabes? Solo pido a los papás que ayuden a los chamaquitos, que los ayuden de la manera que puedan. Como dices, hay unas familias que son más, ¿sabes? Tienen mejores privilegios que otros. Y que estén ahí con los hijos. Si quieren jugar pelota, jueguen pelota. Si quieren jugar baloncesto, si no quieren jugar deporte y lo quieren estudiar, pues ayúdennos a estudiar, qué sé yo, para la biblioteca, algo. O sea, el apoyo de los padres es lo que ayuda a los chamaquitos hoy en día.